Alright everybody, this is Bo, and welcome to my reptile quest. Let's get started. Alright, so here's the star of the show, Mr. Chappie, the Halmahera Blue Tongue Skink. Isn't he a beaut? Look at him. Now, Halmahera is an Indonesian island, and so that means my little fella here, Chappie, is used to quite tropical climates. Unlike the Australian version of this little fella, which there are a couple of different Australian versions, but let's just narrow it down. The Australian blue tongue skinks or northern blue tongue skinks, those guys, they require a much more dry climate than this guy does. I mean, you know, not completely arid, you have a little bit of humidity, but, you know, not much. Now, this guy right here, we're talking 80 to 100% humidity. Isn't that right, Chappie? That's right. 80 to 100% humidity. This guy likes it tropical. He likes it steamy, and he likes it dreamy. Just like him. Look at him. Oh, what a looker. Anyway, let's learn a little bit more, shall we? The Halmahera Blue Tongue Skink, or Taliqua gigas of the family Skinkidae, is an awesome first pet when it comes to lizards. I mean, that's not just my opinion. I guarantee you most people would say that's had any kind of experience with him. Now, the one thing is, you know, humidity level. Yes, you're going to have a high humidity level, 80 to 100%, but that's not the whole enclosure. You just have to have a place like that available in the enclosure. You do want a pretty high ambient humidity. You know, there's a lot of ways to solve that, but we'll get into that in a moment. Now, let's talk about temperament. Now, temperament, you couldn't ask for much better temperament. Look at him. He just loves his pets. He just loves and adores being petted, honestly, as far as I can tell. And, of course, even if he does get grumpy, now they do get grumpy from time to time, all they're going to do huff and puff. I mean, they're just little cuties. Look at them. No problem whatsoever. Now, let's get back to requirements. I have my Halmahera Blue Tongue Skink in 120-gallon Zen Habitats enclosure. That's 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot. PVC panel, great for holding humidity. And, you know, the depth, plenty of room for deep substrate for him to burrow and things like that. Give him a nice little hide, you know, which actually a good size hide, as you can see. And, you know, I like to mist the inside of their hide, turn it up a little bit, mist it again. You do that a few times, I'd say every few days. It's great. It's going to hold the humidity wonderfully. And you see all the nice little moss mixed in. I've got 2 live plants. Those are actually brand new, some ferns. Hopefully they will survive. We will see. But those are all things you can do to deal with the humidity. Now that we've talked about the humidity, moving on to the diet. The diet, super easy. Now, they are omnivores, so they're going to need fruits, vegetables, and meat. Now, there's an easy way to handle that, even though, you know, there are people who will say, oh no, not that. But yes, dog food. There are wet dog foods that have a pretty good balance of all those things that you need. Now, I don't only feed them that, but that is the staple. I also I supplement with reptile vitamins, and I, you know, dust it with calcium. Here we have a nice big water bowl for him to get into, or water dish, because it's really not a bowl. You know, I fill it up. It's plenty big enough for him to completely submerge in if he'd like, which again, that helps with the humidity. Things like this, you just have to think it out a little bit. Things like this can solve what you would call, you know, a hard condition to achieve, such as 80 to 100% humidity. It can be done. Just, you know, a little bit of research and a lot of love. All right, so we have talked about size, We've talked about humidity requirements and what they eat. We've talked about where to put them. You know, what kind of enclosure should we have for these kind of guys? Well, you know, other than that, what do you need to know? Is this the pet for you? Is this the lizard for you? Is this the skink for you? You make that decision. But one thing to consider is my man right here, Chappie Taliquigigas, will live for about 15 to 20 years in captivity. So, you know, if you're going to buy them, don't buy them on a whim. Never buy an animal on a whim. But as I say, remember, you're going to have this guy about as long as a parent would keep a child in their home. That's right. So, you know, make your decision based on the plethora of information I have provided you with, and definitely research more. Research. When you get any kind of pet, research is incredibly important. Why? Because if you have something, if you keep something that lives, you must take proper care of it. You must make sure that they have a happy life, because if you don't need it. Anyway, that's about all I have to say to you for today. Make sure to like, and if you haven't, subscribe, share, and tell me down in the comments section, what do you think of Mr. Chappie? Anyway, later.